3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch.
I'm Anna Maria Roque.
And I'm Molly Herford.
Hello and welcome back to Queen Stage. I'm your host today, Betsy Welch, and today I'm joined by Molly Herford and Rosael Davis as we break down the final stage of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
Yes. And I mean, we've got a lot to break down. Going into today's stage, there were only 8 seconds between the top 2 women. I cannot stress how stressful that was. I mean, so much stress beyond just the 8 seconds, but even the 8 seconds alone was nail biting. We knew today was going to be a wild ride, and it did not disappoint in the least.
Yes, it didn't. But before we get into today's recap, a quick thank you to the people making this coverage possible, Bike Tires Direct and SRAM. We wouldn't be here every day covering this race without them.
Yeah, and if you've enjoyed our coverage and you're enjoying our coverage, please make sure you're subscribed. Feel free to leave us a review. Send us any questions, scoops, anything to info@queenstage.cc. Find us on Instagram at queenstage.cc, also on Threads. Also, new this year, and something I think we are going to keep going because it was so fun, is a really fun and active Queen Stage WhatsApp community. You can find the link to join that in our Instagram page or in the podcast show notes. That's not going to go away. We had so much fun. We really enjoyed interacting with you guys, and we will maybe get a little quiet when it's not the Tour de France Femmes, but we plan on continuing to engage there.
Yeah, I mean, talk about beyond wildest expectations of what we thought a WhatsApp community was going to look like. So much fun, yeah. And today is also the last chance to enter our daily Tour de France Femmes giveaway. And we are giving away a Queen Stage musette packed with useful gear like an e-pump, the Watch the Femmes cap, a ride wallet, and other swag brought to you by Zwift and Bike Tires Direct. Yesterday's musette winner is 13 Paisley 13 on Instagram. And if you're listening, we will reach out via the socials to get your shipping details.
Yes, congratulations. And we're down to our final musette for this tour. And today is the day to enter. Head over to our Instagram at queenstage.cc and find the Stage 9 highlight post. Give Bike Tires Direct a follow and then tag 2 friends in the comments. All right? Good luck, everybody.
And don't forget that you can save 10% at biketiresdirect.com using code QUEENSTAGE. That's all one word, all lowercase, and that directly supports the show and saves you money.
And last tire-related note, actually that's not true. We're going to talk about tires another time, but you can check out our Substack for all of our favorite tire recommendations. We talk about gravel tires, cross tires, mountain bike tires, road tires. We also will update you on all the tires that have won all the tour stages. Okay, we'll take a break from tires. Molly, tell us what happened yesterday quickly so then we can jump into today.
Yes, and this is definitely like one of those cases where we really need to, if you missed yesterday, we have to fill you in because I feel like so much of today is really based on what happened on stage 8, or at least it's where a lot of the drama starts. So yesterday was the longest stage we've ever had in Tour de France Femmes at 172 kilometers, relatively flat, a few small climbs, and we saw a 2-woman breakaway for over 100 kilometers. Los Adagist and Maeva Squibans just absolutely flying, beautiful. They had a gap over 6 minutes, doing so well. They were getting reeled in with around 20 kilometers to go. The gap was coming down. Unfortunately, Maeva crashed in a descent on a corner. And while Los tried to stay away, the peloton was already coming behind her, and she got caught at about 9.5 kilometers to go. And that is when things really heated up. Demi Vollering attacked on the final climb. Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney and Elisa Borghini went after her, but they could not hang on. And in that moment, it was not really super clear on the screen, but there was potentially some team tactics, some argy-bargy, some not quite touching of bars, but some potential closing someone out of a corner between one of the FDJ Suez teammates of Demi Vollering and Kasia, which came to a head at the finish line. But before that happened, Alyssa Longo-Borghini, Kasia Niewiadoma, they're on the attack. They closed Demi momentarily, but Demi just kept going, gets this great gap. Demi takes the win. Alyssa Longo-Borghini ends up second, Kasia right on her wheel, but Kasia really didn't have anything in the last couple kilometers. Alyssa Longo-Borghini really drove that train to the finish line, and that meant that Demi Vollering moved into the GC lead by a mere 8 seconds. But it was really the post-race moments where things got heated. When we talked yesterday, we had just seen a little bit of conversation between Celia Géry and Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney at the finish line. Social media was starting to speculate, to talk, to figure out what happened there. And Kasia was saying that Celia had closed her out in the corner at the start of the climb, right when Demi attacked. And, you know, we talked about it ad nauseum yesterday. Like, that is actually like technically like perfectly legal. It's a race tactic. It really just came down to like, are we happy with that race tactic or not?
Yeah. Well, after seeing the video, I don't think there was any ill intent from FDJ. I think they were going really fast. And to think that Celia Géry on purpose shows the right side, knowing that Kasia Niewiadoma was behind her and decided to go further into the barrier on a turn. That's how naturally your bike moves also. I don't think there's any wrong play there. It's just bike racing. And if it was even on purpose, it's not breaking any rules. If it was on purpose, it would be called blocking. And it happens all the time.
Yeah. Worst case scenario is negative tactics is basically what it came down to. Betsy, you weren't on yesterday. What was your take? How did you feel about the drama or the stage in general?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to talk a little bit more about the drama a little later in the show because I think at this point it's less interesting, like, did it happen or not, versus what does it mean when there is drama? And how do we feel about Kasia's post-race interview? You know, so
reactions.
let's come back to that. Rosael, tell us about today.
Today, the final stage of the 2026 Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. It was a 99-kilometer mountain stage from Nice to Nice, and it featured 4 laps up Col d'Es, with just 8 seconds separating the race leader, Demi Vollering, as you know, from Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, heading into the stage. As we said yesterday, today's stage is a circuit, which is always really fun, not just for the riders or for the people who can stick around and watch it. And 4 laps of the course, meaning that they will go over this climb 4 times, but the last time they had a little bit of a detour that gave them a much steeper pitch to deal with. And yes, it was a super fast race from the beginning. The attacks started immediately of the neutralized rollout. We saw Maeva Squiban, oh my goodness, from UAE, who had crashed yesterday. I'm so glad that she was able to start today and that she looked like she was good enough to put in an attack like this. Yeah, apparently they took x-rays, nothing was broken. She felt good today, so good to see her putting the moves. We saw Lorena Wiebes of SD Works Pro Time take the intermediate sprint and effectively locking up the green jersey.
So happy about that, by the way. I was so nervous when they were talking. They're like, and Vollering, if she like went for it, could technically get it if she like won both like the intermediate sprint and the stage. And I was going to be so sad. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, yes. Then we also saw this where things got spicy from the beginning. But it was around, this was the second time up the climb. We saw an insane effort from Canyon SRAM rider, Zoe Backstedt, Wood Van Aert style, just tractor style. You know, it was really good to see. It was an all-out effort for a while. We were starting to wonder when she was just going to pull off the front. And when she finally did, she was just like wasted off the back. She gave it everything, and she did that for her teammate Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, and it worked really well. The group ended up getting smaller and smaller and smaller. She isolated Vollering from some of her teammates, not all of them, And we saw Marlen Reusser was starting to struggle, etc. Cilia Jerry even from FDJ was dropped from that group. And Reusser was dropped later with 67 kilometers to go. And then 10 kilometers later, at 56 kilometers to go, she had a crash and a left-hand turn. Did you guys see the crash up close? I wasn't able to tell what happened exactly, but it was nice to see basically all of her teammates drop back to help her out and just pace her back into the group. But this also meant that things started to look really good for Elisa Longoborghini of UAE Team Limad. Because then now with Reusser back, it means that she could contend for third place in the podium. And Reusser just didn't seem, I don't know if Elisa was getting this information on her ear from the team car, but just Reusser didn't seem like she was going to give it her all to try to get back onto the group. Then, with about 48 kilometers to go, it got really calm, right? We had this solid group of elite riders, about 10 or 11 of them, including Demi Vollering, Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, Elisa Longoborghini, Paula Blasi, Antonia Niedermeyer. Who else was there? Dominika Gowarczyk, Isabella Holmgren, probably, and Cedrine Carbal. Yes, Cedrine Carbal, which was also a good pick for today. And this breakaway group of elite riders was holding an almost 2-minute gap to the group of riders behind them. Then at 46 kilometers to go, Holmgren goes for an attack on the third time up the climb, which was also incredible to see. And the group of elite riders just seems to let her go because she's not a threat for the DC or anything. Then with 41 kilometers to go, Niedermeyer, Kasia Niewiadoma's teammate, she's working at the front. Paula Blasi puts in an attack. Cedrine Carbal starts to struggle and gets distance before clawing back on. And then we see, this was interesting to me. I wasn't able to tell throughout the race if Elisa Longoborghini was comfortable, if she was just like being defensive, because we saw her like just be in the back of that group of riders. And maybe she was just observing. I mean, sometimes the best defense is to be in a place further back that you can see basically your rivals in front of you. But I was also wondering if she just didn't have it. But I think she had it enough, right, to improve her place, as we'll get to know later. Then we had Juliette Bertet, Demi Vollering's teammate, who took over the front, controlling the group of favorites. And as the grab to Holmgren stretched a little bit, then approaching the final fourth ascent of Col d'Es, it took a different, steeper route than the previous trees. This is where Holmgren got caught, and Niewiadoma-Phinney attacked past her, and Vollering went with her, looking very comfortable. Vollering, which was surprising to me. She did at first. She was letting Kasia do all of the work because Vollering has a yellow jersey. She doesn't need to do anything. But eventually, she did take a turn at the front and she glances back to see Niewiadoma's reaction, and they stayed together. Then a 33-second gap opens to what now becomes the white jersey group because Antonia Niedermeyer is there. And Vollering attacks again. She opens a gap and reaches the summit of the climb, 18 seconds clear of Niewiadoma-Phinney. Then on the descent, we were all hoping that Niewiadoma-Phinney would catch back on to Demi. Vollering, she did a very good job descending, and she stretched a gap to 32 seconds to Niewiadoma-Phinney, and then 10 seconds to the group behind. The gap continues to grow to 45 seconds as the white jersey group closes in. They eventually absorb Niewiadoma-Phinney, and Vollering continued just putting a show in that impressive descent, riding down towards a second Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift title. Basically, with 5 kilometers to go, we all kind of knew that Vollering had the win in her bag, not just for the stage, but for the overall tour. And 5 kilometers later, she becomes the first 2-time winner of the race. Behind her, after Niewiadoma gets caught from that group, Blasi accelerated, getting second place on the stage, 1 minute, 4 seconds behind, and Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney crossing third place. But yes, anyway, a lot to celebrate. I know this is, we're getting quiet. We're very quiet here. And this is how the chat got too. Because I think in the WhatsApp chat, a lot of people were maybe hoping for Kasia to take a win, just to do another upset yet again. But we did not see that. However, it was a very good day, a very good race to watch. We're glad that Niewiadoma fought as hard as she could. She was able to hold to her second place in the general classification. And the bigger upset came with Elisa Longoborghini climbing to third place. And Marlen Reusser, who finished the race, just losing a lot of spots.
Yeah, I know. I keep saying it's the hope that kills, but definitely in our chat, there was like one person that was like at 5K with like 1 minute separating Demi and Kasia. He's like, do you think like Kasia could still come back? Right. And it just went quiet. Everyone was like, oh, we don't want to tell you no, but
it is amazing how like the head and the heart, right? Because I think who didn't have Demi as a head pick, like
100%.
Yeah. But the heart, that's where all the emotion comes from. And Kasia is such a heart pick. But
and also, we do like Demi. We should also like say we're all Demi stans on this show. She did amazing. We all really love her. But if all we did was cheer on the person who like is the most likely to succeed, like that's just not how storylines are made.
Yeah, yes.
But she raced an incredible race. Like it was masterclass, and she is now the first woman to have won 2 editions of this race, first and only. So that's cool.
And both teams did a beautiful job today. We didn't see any negative energy remaining from yesterday's drama after the race or anything like that. It was just really good racing, and also up to 20K to go or less. We didn't know who was going to win yet,
Mm-hmm. I would also pay so much money to hear the conversation. They were showing us the helicopter view, like maybe like 10 kilometers in, where Kasia and Demi were like next to each other and definitely having a conversation. And I'm actually going to say I think it was probably a positive conversation. Only because I think like Demi actually had bike lengths ahead of her where she could have exited the conversation very easily if it hadn't been going well. So I feel like it had to have been a relatively respectful, cordial conversation, because I can't really picture Demi being willing to like have a fight in the middle of the peloton when she could just like slide up and avoid the conversation. That's my take.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. From the body language, it didn't look like anything bad or crazy.
Yeah, everyone looked very open and like calm. There was like, I think like someone was like, "Oh, there's finger pointing," and I was like, it didn't really look like aggressive finger pointing. It actually looked to me like friendlier. So I'm gonna say friendly, even though I also stand by the fact that women do not have to be here to be friends. I do like seeing those two potentially working things out. And I think I saw them hug at the finish at some point. I might just have been hallucinating.
Oh,
I don't know.
I could have seen. I don't know. I don't remember seeing that, but I wouldn't be surprised because they are good sportswomen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And Kasia did even say, so yesterday's interview, right after the race, she said she had like lost respect for FDJ Suez. She was very upset about the move, all that. And she did, I think this morning, say she'd slept on it. She was feeling more positive. She was like over it, basically. And I think we can all respect, you say something in the heat of the moment, like she didn't say anything offensive. She didn't curse anyone out. She didn't like say anything rude about a person. She said something rude about the tactics. So.
Okay, we're going to come back to this really quickly. Yes, but just we're going to do a final wrap up of the standings. So on the day, Demi Vollering, followed by Paula Blasi, Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney, Niamh Fisher-Black, and Antonia Niedermeyer. So those were our top 5 on the day. As you now know, the overall win went to Demi Vollering. Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney was second, which, just to mention, she has been on the podium every edition of this race. This was her first second, however. She has been third 3 times, won the race once, and now has been in second. So wow. What does year 6 have in store for her?
Yeah. Hopefully not like 4th.
Right. No. Elisa Longo Borghini climbed up to 3rd overall, followed by Antonia Niedermeyer and Paula Blasi. The mountain jersey, the polka dots, stayed with Puck Petersay. Was she in the polka dots? How many? 7 out of 9 stages? She got those polka dots early on and kept them, which was quite impressive. Antonia Niedermeyer walked away with the Young Riders jersey, and Lorena Wiebes kept that green jersey, as we mentioned. So
wait, that's 2 of the like under 24 riders in the top 5 of the GC as well. That's wild.
Very cool. Very cool. And I want to chat a little bit about Antonia Niedermeyer, but I think that's going to come up later in the conversation. But just so we can like come back and then be done with this Demi, Kasia, Jerry thing. There was an interesting chat going on in our WhatsApp chat. Again, like I said, we've kind of gone beyond like, did she do it? Did she not? Is it dirty? Is it not? And we landed at a bigger question, which like, is this kind of drama, for lack of a better word, good for the sport, good for creating fandom, good for bringing people in who might not otherwise know what's happening? And I'm curious what you guys think, because I had been thinking that this tour was really nice because there hadn't been a lot of drama. I may not be a typical journalist in that, like, I don't really like drama and I don't like, I don't like writing those headlines at all. But yeah, I think I'm in the minority there. So what do you guys think? Is this overall like good for bringing more eyeballs, or is it bad eyeballs?
I actually am like pretty here for it. I'm also really thankful that it did kind of take the headlines away from the bra topic of earlier this week. So like that I'm really happy about, because at least, even though like, yes, it's drama, at least it's drama about the race. And actually, our friend over at Burgess and on his bike, one of our favorite meme accounts, he actually had a really good post. Aiden, yeah. He had a really good post where he was talking about the fact that it was actually really cool to see people in the comments having comments just about the tactics and the racing, and not anything about like, it wasn't like women can't race, or like it's because she's a girl, woman, or like emotional or anything like that. It was actually like, oh, I think Kasia is wrong about this because this is like what's, this is like the line in the race and that kind of thing. And it felt like very similar commentary to what you would see, frankly, in a men's stage where someone was, talking crap after the race, which happens. So honestly, I'm here for it if it brings if it just makes our sport seem more exciting to people who do not understand the intricacies of it enough to find it exciting as it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need it. You need it because otherwise, if everybody's just acting like the perfect athlete and basically almost like a robot, like sometimes athletes like Matthew Vanderpool can be described as, it's not as engaging for people, and it will be a lot easier to not feel like you can be a fan of them, can root for them. So I think showing that that humanity is good for the sport. The thing about humanity is that it's messy and sometimes it's impulsive, and you'll say, like, because I personally didn't think that was a good strategy, like strategy wise. I'm not saying if it's good or bad. I'm just saying your goal in this race that everybody's putting so much effort and money to and time is to win this race, right? I'm speaking of Kasia. Does it serve you and your goal to get into this argy-bargy with Celia Jury, who doesn't even speak English very well, et cetera, while emotions are really high? I don't know. I don't think so. But whatever, it happened, and it also showed us a side of Kasia. It also shows that she really cares about this, because otherwise, why would she reacted in such a way? So no, yay. I mean, it's a performance, right? Like it's a grand tour. It's also like a theater. To see the performances of these athletes and how they balance emotions and athletic endeavor.
Yeah, I think someone said it about the Tour de France at some point, that it is like a traveling theater, basically.
Yeah, I think I wrote about it. Yeah, and I was chatting with Dan Chabanov about it too.
Mm-hmm. But I also think we just did that whole series on rivalries, right? And hey, what is a sport without its rivalries? And playing them up. And for Betsy, I'm right there with you. I have such a hard time writing any of these headlines, or like even talking about it is like tough, because I'm like, but I'm on everybody's side.
Right. Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
And
Betsy.
I agree with you, Molly, that like, I think what made this a better drama is that it was not like cloaked in this like, because they're women narrative. The Brawgate was, there's always the crashes at the beginning, like women crash. There was the bottles, like, can women not take bottles? This was just pure sport. And even how the women then talked about it. Also, like, they get to do that. That's fine. That's not because they're women. That's because they're like racing the most important race of the year. And it really matters to them. So,
ooh. Okay, speaking of drama, the other one I wanted to call out actually was, as you were recapping, Rosael, that the moment when Paula Blasi attacked, when Bella Holmgren was up the road. Blasi attacked, but I think what we actually saw was she stopped attacking like almost immediately because Alyssa Longo-Borghini couldn't go with the attack. And I think it was actually like in the race radio, like stop attacking.
Well,
and I'm so curious.
Yeah,
how...
no, I remember briefly seeing that, like clocking it. Yeah, it makes me think like it was Paula Lassi. Did she ride 100% of her capacity? She rode 100% for her teammate, but I just
yeah, and I mean came in for second on today's stage, right? Like she definitely had stuff left in the tank there at the end. So yeah, it does make me really curious what's going to happen next year with her on the tour, because I think if there was one rider I'd be like concerned who's going to come back and win it all, it's probably her.
Yeah.
Oh, we have to wait a year? Come on.
I know,
right? That's horrible.
Yes. Well, we'll see her race for herself and other dynamics with a new team throughout the spring. So, and I think she could also do well on one-day classics. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah. And actually, I had to eat my words. There were at least 8 DNFs today. So yesterday I said I felt like every rider was going to just like murder themselves to finish the stage, because like how cool is it to be able to say you finished the Tour de France?
Yes.
But today's stage, I think, was, just that level too hard for...
Yeah. Include 8 riders, including Allison Jackson.
Yeah, and Heidi Franz, which I was very sad about, because I would have loved to see her finish.
Well, I have a kind of a DNF adjacent discussion. I don't know. Do you guys want to talk about Pauline Ferrand-Prévot? I kind of think I'm just curious. I can't get this quote out of my head. And she said this early in the race. I can't remember after which stage. I'll just read it. She said, "I think my level is quite good. It's just that the others are better. Yesterday, I did my best 10-minute power on the last climb, so I think I'm not too bad. It is just the level is much higher." So I wanted to bring that up because, she didn't finish the race. She claiming illness. Okay, fine. Anna van der Breggen also didn't finish the race. We saw, a lot of performances from young, newer riders that were just like outstanding. Is the level that much higher that it's separating riders?
The mentioning of PRs and doing best times, both from PFP, from Kasia, and other riders, should point to that, right? So I would think so. I mean, they're the ones we're going to know, because they're the ones who can look at their numbers.
Yeah, I think so. But also, I will say, it did feel like we kind of got some mixed messages from PFP this race, because we had that. And then actually, like the morning she DNF'd, like hours before, her team had done like a post with her about like how you recover for the next stage and like get ready to race again after a disappointment. It was like kind of an awkwardly timed, I'm sure it was just like scheduled post. But the dropping out because of illness, like, was sort of a surprise, but I guess maybe she just had something coming on all week. We know that definitely can happen.
How do you make that decision? You take your heart rate that morning, it's a little higher than it should be. like maybe you're not quite sick, but you're like, oh, I don't want to get sick if I finish this, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Because like Anna van der Breggen was similar. Like I don't think she was feeling poorly either. And didn't she cite sickness too? Yeah.
I would, and okay, like, to be fair, totally. Maybe they actually were sick. Maybe something was happening.
Totally.
On the other hand, I actually would really prefer if it's the case that like they're just like, okay, look, the GC chance is gone, and I'm going to, not have a great finish here. This isn't really worth me like pushing myself for the next couple days. I think that to me would be like, I would prefer that kind of honesty.
Same. Thank you for saying it.
Yes.
But if they are sick, I hope they get well soon.
Yeah.
Well, to bum you out further, Mariana Vos did not. Mariana Vos did not finish today. Yeah.
No.
I just saw it. Yes.
I didn't see that.
Also, Nikola Noskova, who was on the break.
I'm
Morgan
so sad
Costone.
right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the saddest. I'm like, okay, I'm out of recording. I'm just going to leave now.
Yeah, and it was a hard race. I really did enjoy this edition of the tour, though, despite not having a lot of opportunities for breakaways, but it was a lot of racing packed into 9 days.
Really hot days. Really, really, really hot. And we cannot underplay that. That takes a toll.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The heat every stage, right?
Right.
And this we'll get to this question like at some point about like what the course is going to look like for next year, but I think we can also talk about this now. Do you think they should have had a rest day? And my hot take is like, yes, typically in the men's tour, they don't get a rest day until after 9 stages, which really is just, there's nothing magical about 9 stages. It's just that they don't want to give them a rest day on a weekend because that's when the viewership is going to be the highest. So really 9 stages is kind of like the first opportunity to do it when like, you started on a Saturday. You've got to get through the next weekend. I think the women should have had one in the middle of the week because yes, they quote unquote only race 9 stages, but they're racing 9 stages like they're only racing 9 stages. The men are racing 9 stages like they're racing 21 stages. Totally different scenario. So I think they should get a rest day somewhere in the middle of that.
Interesting point. Yeah.
Everyone was exhausted. Like we saw that. I did not expect that pack to get split that fast today.
Yeah, I guess that the 9 stages works really well because it's Sunday to Sunday. But then, because if you add a rest day in between, then it means the race will be finishing on a Monday, and that's not good for viewership. So that's probably why.
They could always start it on Friday. Like start it Friday and then run it to go Friday to Sunday instead of Saturday to Sunday.
No, the thing is, like, if you add a rest day, you immediately are finishing in the beginning of the week.
No, not if you start it a day early.
Oh, if you start a Friday, sure. Yes, that is doable too.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about what might potentially happen in next year's tour, including rest days and starting on different days of the week in just a minute. Molly, will you quickly tell us what tire won today before we get into the other stuff?
Absolutely, yes. And our What Tire Won Today segment is brought to you by Bike Tires Direct. Once again, we're talking about race winner Demi Vollering, who won on a specialized cotton tubeless ready tire. That is 6 stage wins for that particular tire. And don't forget to head over to our Substack where you can see all of the tires that have won stages of the tour, plus our favorite picks. And again, use that code QueenStage on Bike Tires Direct to save 10%. Okay, Rosael, hit us with our deep dive on our rider of today.
So today's deep dive goes to a rider who went really deep today, and that's Zoe Backstedt of Canyon SRAM Racing, Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney's teammate, because she just put such a monster effort. We just had to talk about her a bit more. Yeah, she really ripped the race apart on the Col de l'Est, setting a hard pace in that yellow jersey group. And let's see, what can I tell you about her? So she is just 21 years old, but she's already, due to having started in cycling very early, she's a very decorated rider in the junior and under 23 ranks, and now as an elite as well. Her role in the team is that she's basically at the moment a domestique, but she also has the chance to go for one-day races. Her date of birth, she's September 24 of 2004, and she was born in Wales, in Pontyclun, Wales. I hope I said that correctly. And her specialty, like I said, are the classics. She's also a very good time trialist and a very good cyclocross racer. And it is fair to say that Backstedt was born with cycling talent in her veins because both her parents are athletes. Her dad is Magnus Backstedt, who's a celebrated Swedish ex-pro who won Paris-Roubaix in 2004, which is the same year she was born. I guess her mom was pregnant with her as her dad was racing Paris-Roubaix. And now he's also the sports director at Canyon SRAM. Her mother is former cyclist Megan Hughes, a former professional cyclist and 1998 British National Road Race champion. And Backstedt's sister is Eleanor Backstedt, who is also a professional cyclist racing in the World Tour. She has conquered a lot of disciplines. By age 21, she has won 9 World Championship titles in the junior and under 23 categories, and this is across the disciplines of road, cyclocross, and track. She was the 2026 British national champion, so the current national champion in the road race and the time trial, so both. In the Tour de Suisse, she claimed her first ever UCI Women's World Tour stage win by taking the win on stage 3. And in the Spring Classics, she scored multiple top 5 finishes at the toughest one-day races, like 4th at Dwars door Vlaanderen and 5th at Tour of Flanders. And last year, she also won the GC at the Valois Ladies Tour, on the UCI World Championships in the under-23 for the time trial. And she also won the UCI Cyclocross World Championships in the under-23 category. So yeah, like already like a very, very well-rounded rider who just lives and breathes cycling. She describes herself as an adrenaline junkie. She just like loves going fast and racing and taking, using her skills in the corners.
She's a fun follow for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of cyclocross talent in this year's tour, right?
True.
Like Puck, Celia Jarry, Zoe, Voss is just always in the mix.
It's proven to be very good for just learning really good skills on the bike, navigating tight spaces and groups of riders, putting that core to work and a lot of other parts of your body where road cycling maybe does not emphasize as much throughout the year, that can become really helpful in sketchy situations.
Yeah, and I think those short, punchy races really help and are good for young riders, so we're not burning them out with huge hours.
True.
Yeah.
So why do you guys think that Canyon SRAM would attack so early with Zoe today?
Well, it's a tricky one though, because in dropping her, they also knew they were going to burn Zoe out, and that was just going to leave Antonia Niedermeyer and Kasia there. Yeah. And it was pretty early for that to happen. So my conspiracy theory was a bit after all of the drama of yesterday, can Canyon SRAM get some love by putting this amazing effort in early in the race and just kind of change the story a little bit. Let's give it some new headlines.
It was a good gamble. It totally paid. It was awesome.
Yeah. I guess I didn't. The move to me just made sense at the time, just thinning out the group as much as possible. I maybe wish that, I forget where was Niedermeyer around the point where Kasia attacked, because it would have been nice to see maybe Niedermeyer set her up the same way Celia Jarry set up Vollering yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just really interesting, because I actually kind of almost wish we could see a parallel universe where that attack didn't happen and the group actually stayed a little bit bigger longer. It could have actually been, I think, just even more explosive, because you would have had a lot more singular attacks, because that one, really whittled it down. It was 11 riders at that point? To be able to do that?
Holmgren and Kasia attacks. Yeah, so maybe you wonder if waiting for later would have worked out.
I sure wish we had another day of racing.
I know.
We're not done talking about this, and every day had its own intrigue that then sent us into the next day.
Yeah, 100%. Also, yes. Demi's descending we did not touch on, and we really need to double click on how good and terrifying her descending was today. My mom was out here watching the last lap with us, and she was just eyes closed.
Yeah.
She could not watch it happen because it was terrifying, but it was so good. Did she get
She must
technical
be working
training
on it.
or something?
I don't know. Well, it makes sense that maybe she looked at the profiles and the course maps of the tour, and she's like, okay, just in case we were really close in the last stage, I need to improve my descending. That's what pros do, right?
Mm-hmm. Because, that was showing off by the end there, right? She did not need to go so hard on those last, 10 kilometers. That was pure just, doing this for the fans. And I really actually, that made me really like her more. I already like her. But that actually turned up the dial on me liking her, because I think she could have just phoned it in and had that, victory lap almost in the last, 5 to 10 kilometers, because all she really needed to do was beat Kasia to the line. That was it. Or even come to the line with her. Kasia could have won, and Demi still would have won the yellow jersey. So that was just straight up showing what she can do and putting on a show for the fans.
She's so good at everything. She's an incredible time trialist. She's a good climber. She can descend. She has good bike bike handling skills. Like, you know, and relating back to what we were saying earlier, does that make her a little less like emotionally excited? You know, that's I feel like that probably is something that we could extend to fandom of people in general. Like, is it harder to be excited about someone who is so good at everything than someone who, you know, is really good at one thing, or like is a surprise, you know, who like comes out of the woodwork in something you don't expect? I don't know, but she's such a good bike racer. That's
100%.
Yeah.
Tactically, physically.
She's just so good. It's just really cool. All right. Should we answer some questions? There were a lot of questions from the WhatsApp today, I will say, and some of them were quite big and broad, and maybe a little more than we have time for today. But we are going to record a sort of race recap episode early this week. And if we don't get to all these questions today, we will try and address them in a couple days.
Yes, we will.
But the first one, because we've already been hinting at this, is about next year's Tour de France Femmes. And someone wondered if the course was set yet and if it could be expanded beyond 9 days. And this person also said 12 days with a rest day sounds good to me. What do you guys think?
Yes. Well, all official sources say that it's going to be 9 days. That's what the story with, you know, they had their presentation, because the next year it starts in Yorkshire. And the spokespeople for the race are going to be Lizzie Danon and Mark Cavendish. And everything says it's just going to be 9 days. But apparently we have sources that say it may be 10. So we'll keep you posted on that. But at the moment, officially, it's 9.
Wasn't there a year they did 2 stages in 1 day?
Yes.
The time trial, yeah.
Yeah, and when they started in Rotterdam.
Yeah, so I wonder if that would be how they would do 10 stages, because I think to your point, Rosael, it's like a difficult one to do the like rest or to do the end on a Monday thing, unless they're going to do the 3 stages Friday to Sunday in Great Britain.
I did look up the start date, which is July 30th, which is a Friday.
Ooh.
And yeah, Grand Depart in Great Britain, 3 stages there, one of which will be a team time trial on stage 3. Yeah.
I don't like 10 stages without a rest day. Team time trial, I guess, is like a little more recovery oriented, resty, but then they'll still have to like, that day is going to be hectic because they have to get to France to get to racing the next day, right? If the only 3 stages are in Great Britain and then they go to France, so that day is still going to be a nightmare for recovery. So that's not exactly like a soothing rest day.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe there'll be a rest day instead next year. But yeah, we just want to remind people that this question is really more up to the riders. And also, I think everybody's being really conscious about growing this Grand Tour and women's cycling in general on a very sustainable pace. Because every day that you add to a Grand Tour means that the budget for every team has to be that much bigger. So yeah, we just want to make sure that everybody, you know, is evolving at a really good pace so that we have good racing and not just racing where we see half the peloton getting dropped and only a handful of riders finishing.
Or half the teams not able to participate because they do not have the funds. Not to mention, you can't have one race be the only one that is like super long and all the other ones are like less than half of that distance, because then how do riders train for that, right? Like I hate to compare to men's, but like men's has like a few Grand Tours that are 3 weeks
this long. Yeah.
So I think we have to see all of the tours start creeping up their stages for the women as well, just so riders can actually be prepared for something like this.
Yeah.
What was the Giro this year? How many stages was the Giro?
Great question.
Let me
8. Yeah, maybe 8-ish. So that's good that they're up, you know, a pace with one another.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like they're all kind of like at least somewhat deciding together, like how we're just slowly building it up.
All right. So the next question: would today have played out differently if Kasia hadn't gone on Mont Ventoux?
Quantum physics. I like it.
I don't think so. I mean, of course we don't know, but I don't think so. Just, you know, again, Demi's form, skill, team, and I frankly wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I'm so glad that Kasia did what she did and we got to experience that and did it cost her the overall win? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. And I think that Ventoux win, like she said it herself, that it can be career changing. I think a lot of cyclists had that in mind. A lot of the women in the peloton probably thought that was the day they would give it their all, because it has that effect. And Kasia had already won a tour. Obviously, winning another one would be historical. It would be great for many other reasons, but Ventoux being also the historical highlight of this year's tour, it just has immense value.
Agree. Yeah. I think this played out as well as I could hope, because we knew coming in that Demi was absolutely on killer form. I think she was all of our head picks pretty much. Okay, maybe I said Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. Fine. Look, we didn't know. I think we all kind of had Kasia as like a heart pick, but we all knew Demi was gunning for this race. She wanted it real bad after last year. So yeah, I think she was always going to be yellow jersey. So to get Kasia into that historic Ventoux win was really like what we could have hoped for.
Yeah. There is a question about viewership and broadcasting, and I think we'll probably get into this more on Tuesday, because we will have some final numbers, I think. But the question was, how is viewership measured by the streaming services networks in order to justify how much of the race they broadcast? And yeah, without getting too deep in this, I did just want to mention that I read somewhere that Marlen Reusser, the race director, did say, like, this is going to be a conversation. Like, we are going to be talking about this. And part of her quote was funny to me, because she said, the race is only 5 years old, and 5 years ago, we didn't even know if it would work. Like, which I was just like, wow, that is kind of crazy to think, because that was the conversation back then, was like, is it going to stick? And here we are now, like, look at it. It's so cool. I'm so thrilled, and I'm glad that the push to see more of it is happening.
For sure. I just do not see how we can bring new fans into the sport in any adequate way if we're not showing them the beginning of the race, because it is like I said, like day 2, it was so hard to follow, to follow for those of us who do this professionally, much less for someone who's like just tuning in. It makes it so hard to bring new fans in if you're only showing them the back half of the race.
Yeah. So. And related question, somebody asked that if you're an amateur or a fan of cycling, how can you get involved in supporting the cyclists beyond viewership and hosting watch parties? Like, how can you really get behind a team?
Good question.
I like this question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oof. Okay. I mean,
it's a little bit of everything, but do you want to go first?
Sure. I'll go. I mean, honestly, viewership and watch parties are probably like some of the biggest things that you can do. And then the obvious, like, posting about them and telling your friends about them, inviting people to them. I mean, Betsy, you talked about this before, how you're surprised to have a lot of friends that don't watch this race. And I think, like, continuing to invite them to watch it, which is hard for us because, I wanted to host a watch party today, but then I'd be like, guys, shut up in the living room. I'm trying to record a podcast. So sadly, it's just like
some tips that if you're watching anywhere with friends that don't know as much about the racing, try to explain to them some of the things, in a friendly way. Don't become a person-splainer, but it helps. It is a complicated sport, and people forget that it is 9 stages long, that it's not just a one-day race like it was when it was La Course. So just reminding people, all those things. And every time you're out there, whenever people ask you, oh, what are you up to lately? Oh, I'm watching the Women's Tour de France, which just started when the men's finished, and like just create that awareness. I always try to sneak it in there to just normalize it.
Yeah.
You can always check like team stores if it's to see if the teams have any merch they may be selling. Like the Visma Lisa Bike team does have some fun merch there. Following the riders, engaging with them on social media. Their sponsors also following their sponsors, so you can show the sponsors that this type of investment actually works.
Yeah.
Any other ideas?
Yeah, and supporting the sponsors and the brands yourself. I mean, shout out Bike Tires Direct and SRAM. They support us, which means they support women's cycling, which means we should support them. Yeah. There's also, we've mentioned on this show the Cyclist Alliance. There's other sort of advocacy groups, follow them, see what they're saying, what they're recommending. Like, if there is a call to bombard the ASO with support or not support, whatever.
Lack of support.
Lack of
Anti-support.
We need to do these things.
Yeah, because sometimes the problem is that we see an issue, we don't know what to do to support. So the Cyclist Alliance is a great place for guidance, and it is also another way to support is by donating money, because that is a nonprofit, and there's a lot of nonprofits in the cycling world that you could just donate to and help them keep going.
100%. And yeah, just being fans. Like I think a lot of this is a great question, and if you're asking it, you're probably already doing a lot. So we love you for that.
Yeah, just keep at it.
Yeah.
And pay for good journalism. Let's just maybe add that caveat, because I know all of us work for places where there are subscriptions and stuff, and it's, some of the content's free, some of it's behind a paywall. And I know subscription creep is real, and we only have this economy does not make it easy to, pay for subscriptions. But the reality is, when you pay for a subscription and you even comment or like or share those posts that are about women's cycling, you make it easier for all of us to justify all of the articles that we're trying to pitch about women's cycling. And same with podcast ratings and reviews, not just of us, of anyone else who's covering women's cycling. All of that is actually shockingly helpful.
Yep. Very helpful.
Well, Rosael, do you want to give us a stat of the day, since we don't have a stage to preview tomorrow?
Yes. Well, so today's stat of the day presented by SRAM. So 68 of the 147 riders on the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift start list, it's roughly 46%. So 68 of them do not have a publicly confirmed team for 2027.
Wow.
So that's almost half of the peloton that started the race. So I'm not including the World Tour and pro racers that were not in the race, just the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift peloton. 68 of them do not have a contract for next year, and that's almost half of the peloton, which is very shocking. So the way I got to this number, which obviously will have a margin of error, so I cross-referenced the full 21 teams, the 147 riders against the start list against another start list, the pro cycling stats of riders that did not have contracts next season. So you can apply that as a filter, and I checked both tiers of teams represented in this race, the World Tour team and the Women's Pro teams. But again, this is a snapshot, not the full picture, because obviously we know that tools like PCS or Pro Cycling Stats, they are tracking just the confirmed names out there, whatever is in the news, or they know they have confirmed from communiques from the teams and that sort of thing. But we do know that a lot of riders already have deals going on under the table, handshake agreements, advanced talks, and that sort of thing. Also, keep in mind that a lot of these teams, they don't know if they have the same sponsors for next year. So the teams themselves don't know what the budget is, and that may be one of the reasons why they're not renovating those contracts just yet. But to contrast this, we also look at the same information on the men's peloton for the Tour de France, and only 39 out of the 158 peloton of the Tour de France that's about 25%. So only 39 do not have a team for next year. So that is 25% compared to the women's 50%.
I have to admit, when I saw the stat, I was like, 2027, that is so far away. Why do we care? Then I was like, oh no.
It's less than 6 months away.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, do you think also, I think the sponsor piece is huge. Like, teams are always, on down to the wire with that stuff. But do you think also a lot of teams wait until after this race to offer those?
I'm sure.
deals?
Yeah. It's a lot of things, and maybe for the next episode we can try to find out more details as to why this is. But yeah, that's a lot of people who are looking to know if they're going to be professional racers next year or not, and at what level.
Wow.
Yeah, that seems just so stressful.
So
it's always-
stressful.
This is why we love when we hear about a rider getting signed for 3 years, 4 years, because it gives them time to actually relax on that team, to become part of that team, to not be continually thinking like next thing, next thing, next
Mhm.
thing. So yeah,
Yeah, no.
hopefully a lot of that number is just like waiting to announce, because we do know.
Hopefully it is. And also, if any
Yeah.
pros are listening to this, or any team managers, talent managers, and want to reach out and help us clarify this, that would be great to know more about how these contracts work.
Absolutely.
Well, ladies, I think this wraps up our coverage of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift on Queen Stage for 2026.
Yes, start thinking, you two, about how you're gonna rate this race, this edition, when we sit down next week to like
Yeah.
reflect more on it. And everybody listening should also do the same and let us know their thoughts on WhatsApp and Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. We would love to hear from everyone on what they thought of this year's race. We would also love to give a massive, massive thank you to our presenting sponsors, Bike Tires Direct and SRAM. Your commitment to advancing women's cycling is what allows us to do what we do, which is deliver these daily podcast episodes. We are so grateful. Thank you again.
Yes, and don't forget, last chance to enter today's giveaway, the last one of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, on our Instagram. Follow Bike Tires Direct and tag 2 friends on the Stage 9 highlight post.
Yes, and if you want to show the people who are making this podcast possible that we are a worthy investment for them, please make sure that you're subscribed to Queen Stage Women's Cycling Podcast. Please, please, please leave us a review. And in the meantime, keep those questions coming, keep that WhatsApp chat alive, and thank you very much for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.